Katie Hobbs, elected governor of the state of Arizona, has guaranteed through her actions the destruction and mutilation of children under 18 in our schools, adult women in any public sense or any sport. I have nobody to blame more than anything than the Californians that fled to this state and voted for everything they left instead of leaving it where they destroyed it. But some of the blame falls also on the residents of Arizona who, during the election, as improper as it was for Katie Hobbs to be the Secretary of State overseeing her own election, and with issues of ballot machines discouraging many people who have already been skeptical of the ballot counts, the machines, due to the faults of all the people during the 2020 elections. And they walked off. But I got to tell them something. I got to tell you something, because I am a Californian who moved out here, but because I had responsibilities I needed to take care of, I couldn't be here when I wanted. I was stuck over there dealing with the garbage, dealing with being the 49% ruled by the 51, having my tax money being sent to fraudulent bills or fraudulent purposes to fix things that never got fixed, for a plan of the homeless that only tripled in the years he kept promising it. I voted for Larry Elder for the recall of Gavin Newsom. I wanted and I hoped that we could fix it, that we could turn it around. But seeing as how it is now, thankfully, now that I left, I'm glad I left, and I feel sorry for everybody I left behind. Every other person I left behind, because I just got sick of it. And I could not stick around to fund a failing government. So for the Arizonans here who walked off because of sketchy or improper use of machines or failures, you should have dropped your ballots. It was weird. I understand. It was complicated, but you should have left your ballots. And as you already found out, Kari Lake couldn't do anything because you can't contest a vote that isn't left. But I don't blame you totally. But what I do blame is your inability to steel yourself with resolve to leave your ballot so that at least Kari Lake had a case. And for you Californians that came here in time to vote for that, you will forever be Californians to me. I don't care how long you've been here. I don't care what your ID says, your address. I don't care if everything you own is here now. You are forever a Californian if you vote for the same thing that destroyed the state you fled from. And here's some examples of how you are contributing to the destruction of this place having voted for this person. Here are a few examples, and if you want me to go through even more of them, read through them all. Read through every veto that she has done in calling these legislators extremists. Let me give you some extremist examples. But if you want me to continue to do this and go through all of it, leave it down below. Like and subscribe. We need to push back on all of this before this state is just another California. Here are one of the bills. Now, this is the Arizona Women's Bill of Rights, as it was named, or sex-based terms in law. This was vetoed by her, and what it did, and I'll put on the screen what SB or MG the number is, but it's essentially the Arizona Women's Bill of Rights. That was the name. Title 1, Chapter 9, ARS, sex-based terms in law. This would have established the legal definition for sex-based terms. Boy, girl, a human male or female who has not reached adulthood. man, woman, father, mother, adult human male, adult human female, and male female parents respectively. Male female defined biologically. Male has or would have reproductive systems that produce sperm. Female has or would have reproductive systems that produce ova. This would have made a biological definition to be used for any further laws written that differentiated for male and female, man, woman, boy, and girl. And you need to have those distinct setups if you want to protect either one of them. Now, sex was going to be defined as biological sex at birth, which includes only male or female conditions and conditions like DSD, differences in sex development, do not establish a third sex. Must be accommodated in line with federal and state law. Declared objective and fixed, which it is. I don't care about these non-binary, binary. You have the ability right here. Male, produce sperm. Male, produce ova. There's only one or the other. To suggest that there's a different form of reproduction is delusional. And it should be seen as delusional, and it should be treated as a mental health issue, and they should get proper treatment for it instead of this affirmation BS that only is made to mutilate people and forever make money from pharmaceuticals and doctors, because you will forever be needing medical assistance to maintain this delusion. Explicitly excludes gender identity and cannot be used as a synonym for sex. Equal was going to be defined as does not mean same or identical, because having equal rights doesn't mean that you are the same person. We can see that easily in sports that require physical demand from these delusional men who can't compete with the top 100 in the men's division. So instead, they go into the women's where they place top of everything and steal away the real accomplishments of women. And women being adult human female and has or would have reproductive systems that produce ova. Now, this other section, application of the term sex. Sex discrimination laws must prohibit unfair treatment of a male or female compared to the opposite sex. Replacement of gender with sex. State must replace the standalone word gender with sex across laws, rules, publications, orders, policies, signage, etc. And revision only required when laws are otherwise being updated. Single-sex environments. This would have allowed when sexes are not similarly situated biologically. So this would have been athletics, living facilities, so all female dorms, all male dorms, locker rooms, like at Planet Fitness, and bathrooms, makes sense. Domestic violence shelters, makes sense. And then sexual assault crisis centers as well. Data collection requirements, public schools. They would have had to collect statistics to record individuals as either of them. So they would have had to establish as well in schools to designate the children properly. Does not require collection of sex data unless already mandated by law. Does not prevent collection of other data. Yada, yada, yada. Section 2 purpose, to provide clarity, certainty, and uniformity in a state law regarding sexual discrimination, equal of the sexes and equality of the sexes, and benefits services specifically provided to males, men, females, or women. Severability, if any provision is struck down, the rest of the act remains valid. Short title, the act will be called Arizona Women's Bill of Rights. Codifies binary, practical. So I ran this through ChatGPT to pretty much like bring out the main points of it. A lot of Arizona's bills that the legislator put out are single page, if not sometimes 2 and 3. And it's essentially legal speak, but I'm a bit of a bird brain. So the practical effects of this bill was to codify binary biological definitions of sex in Arizona law, replace reference of gender with sex, permit single-sex spaces in sensitive areas, and restrict recognition of gender identity in statutes and public policies. And now it aimed to establish legal uniformity of sex-based protections and programs. So that was a bill vetoed not only by Katie Hobbs, but almost everyone with a D next to their name, because they're all in lockstep with each other. The second one gets out of line, everybody eats them alive on that side of the aisle. While we over here on the other side, which is practically anybody else that isn't psychotic and delusional, because they don't want anybody of any differing opinion on their side. So everybody else, doesn't matter how center you are or how left you are, you will be the right of them. We can all disagree, move on, shake hands, and live our freaking lives. But anyway, so yeah, they all vetoed it. They all said nay. However, thankfully for the Republic legislator, they full on pushed it through, only for Katie Hobbs to veto it at the end. Now, this was a pronouns, biological sex, parental permission prohibition policy. This would have restricted schools and employees and contractors from playing the game that we see online everywhere, that of teachers or faculty talking about their at-home life, because that's the only way these kids ever see anything to do with their psychopathy, is because the teachers wear it, they promote it, and they shove it in the face of these kids, hoping that they ask, or they make it part of a secret curriculum that if you're sending your kid to public school, I would say take them out and homeschool them if you can. And if you can't, get involved or have your kids expose these actions, because these aren't right. These should be treated no different than the people who celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk. They should be treated no different, because now they're indoctrinating and messing with the minds of your children. As much as they want to say, like, oh, we got to protect the trans kids, we got to protect it. It's like, they're not even trans kids. If you've seen a video on X that, I don't know if it's gone viral or not, of an in-home security camera with a daughter saying, I'm a boy, and the mother immediately breaking it down, saying, like, no, you're not, don't ever say that again, God made you a girl, and probably paraphrasing here, God made you a girl and you should love yourself the way God made you. And then that was it. The kid was done. She said sorry. I don't know if she needed to, but she said sorry, moved on, kept eating whatever she was eating, and that was it. And people are ragging on the mother, claiming that she hates her children for telling her to love the way she was made by God. And these are the same people that would run around lying to obese or mutilated people, saying love yourself. If you can't love yourself the way you were born and made, you're never going to love yourself the way you've ruined and destroyed yourself. So this 15-509 would have defined pronouns as any pronoun that differs from the pronoun aligning with the student's biological sex. This would have worked in tandem with the law before, with designating biological sex with sex instead of gender. Name use, any first name other than the first and middle name listed on the official school records, and the only exemption is if they follow by a nickname. Now, they could play the game of, yeah, this kid's nickname is Zio, and it's their persona or something, or some weird lefty thing to say, and claim that it's a nickname. But either way, this was vetoed by Katie Hobbs herself, because she doesn't want to protect your children, and she wants to guarantee they come out of schools. And mind you, this is for 18 and under. So this is all the way up to high school for people that are prepubescent. And she doesn't want protections for them. If anything, she wants to create more with the psychotic teachers that go in there and talk about their sex and their disgusting mental psychopathy with children. Now, Section B, employee religions and morals, this also excludes if they don't have to, let's see, district or charter school may not require an employee or contractor to use pronouns that differ from a person's biological sex if it conflicts with religious or moral convictions. So it's not an exemption. It's that these employees, they don't have to use anything different from their biological because of their religion. This would have protected people with religious backgrounds more. Requirement, each governing board or school district at each school governing body must adopt policies and implement and enforce these requirements. Free speech outside official duties. The restrictions do not prohibit employers or contractors from discussing matters outside of school, which is fine. Now through ChatGPT, the overall effect is to pronoun name use tied to parental permission. So parents, I think there was also an exemption here that a parent with, oh, there it is, may not address, identify, or refer to a student under 18 by either of the following without written parental permission. So parents who are in this psychopathy can grant permission for these kids, but it has to fall to the parents. And though we can criticize parents that are pushing their children, and it is pushing, because in that video before that I mentioned, that mother didn't have to try. She just told her to love herself like God made her, and the girl said sorry and just went on, moved on. You don't have to try to force anything on them or to force them away from it. You just tell them, hey, God loves you the way you were born, and you should love yourself the way God loved you. So the fact that we're having a boon of these children being made to think this way is because they're pushed to think that way. It's not because it's natural. The overall effect, pronoun use named, written approval, religious moral protection for staff, implementation requirements. So all schools in Arizona would have had to implement these actions and enforce them. And then it protected safe speech for them to be outside of their official duties. And this was vetoed by Katie Hobbs because she wants to guarantee that your children come out messed up from school, from these disgusting teachers. There's other bills, like one that would have put the 10 Commandments, and all this ever shows is that Republicans are weak and simple, because if we have the Pledge of Allegiance, which includes, and to the republic for which this stands, one nation under God, if they make that a thing that you need to do, which I think should stay there because it made me very patriotic when I was a child. It's just, getting out of high school and everything made me dumb. Getting into college made me dumb. California made me dumb in the beginning. But anyway, they should have just put the 10 Commandments up. These people put flags. They put their disgusting pride flags. They put all these things up, and we don't call it unconstitutional. We should just, it's just they want it to be, they're worried about it being unconstitutional because they're expecting it to be put up, when in reality it should just be put up out of principle. But yeah, there's many other bills that she's vetoed. These are just the most prominent ones that I believe for now to start. And if you want to see more, like I said, please like and subscribe. And if at all, if you're an Arizonan, like a true Arizonan, and you want to get rid of this garbage, you can provide me anything from below. You can message me. You can do any of that stuff to tell me about any other things going on, so that we could push back on this, because this isn't okay to do psychological and irreversibly physical surgeries on children. This is not right, and we need to stop that. And largely it's you Californians' fault. I don't care if you've been here for 4 or 5 years. It's largely your fault that you're doing this. And for you Arizonans, I hope this steels you in your heart so that you take any and every election that comes up as serious as you take the presidential one. We have to start at the bottom. I'll see you on the next one.